Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. So McCarthy finally did it at the midnight hour. On his 15th attempt, Kevin McCarthy finally won. It played out pretty much the way we predicted. We predicted on Monday or Tuesday that this was going to take several days. Remember, I said strap yourselves in on this one. It's going to take a while. We predicted that McCarthy would most likely win eventually, and we predicted that he would win only by the never McCarthy wing like Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert and Andy Biggs voting present, which has the effect of lowering the total a speaker nominee needs to get in order to win a majority. And as it turned out last night, yes, 6 Republicans voted present, which enabled them to both keep their promise not to vote for McCarthy while at the same time signaling that they were satisfied with the concessions that he made. And what, pray tell, were those concessions? What did he do? Well, National Review is reporting that while some of the details are still coming out in all of this, we now know that McCarthy agreed to give Freedom Caucus members more power within the Rules Committee, which sets the parameters for passing legislation like balancing the budget in 10 years, which they got him to agree to. He also caved to a change to House rules that would allow any single member of Congress to call a vote to remove him from power. And that's going to be huge when it comes to the next showdown to raise the debt ceiling, which the Republicans, of course, just caved to in passing that near $2 trillion McConnell monstrosity a couple of weeks back. So McCarthy is going to have the fear of being ousted at any time dangling over his head for the next 2 years. But more than that, McCarthy did something else that was truly amazing. He elevated Texas Representative Chip Roy to one of the major Republican leaders in the House. Roy was the chief negotiator on behalf of the Freedom Caucus, which is the home, of course, to the ultra-MAGA representatives. And he made sure that they got literally everything that they wanted. They got their key positions on every single oversight committee for the investigations. They got their demand, again, to have only a single member of Congress force a no confidence vote in the speaker, you name it. So McCarthy basically ended up enthroning Chip Roy to one of the most prominent positions in the House, which is absolutely awesome. I love Chip Roy, and I'm excited to see him play this part. So what should we make of all of this? Well, I have to say, I think the best analysis I've come across on all this was Victor Davis Hanson on the Tucker Carlson show. Hanson was fully on board with the last several days of the Ultra-MAGA caucus, hammering home the message that the Republican Party has changed. The Republican Party is not the party of the 1990s, and it's certainly not the party of Bush and McCain and Romney anymore. It is a thoroughly patriot-based nationalist populist party, a party comprised of a grassroots dedicated to protecting and promoting the timeless values of faith, family, and freedom. And we are not going to be ruled any longer by a donor class and professional political elite who rule antithetically to those values. Again, it bears repeating, what has McConnell and the Rhino freaks in the Senate been doing since the midterms? They codified gay marriage. They approved billions and billions of more dollars for Ukraine, and are even now in the process of negotiating amnesty for illegal immigration. So over the last 4 days, we've seen an ultra-MAGA revolt against this professional political class that occupies such a different cultural space than the Republican rank and file they supposedly represent. Now, that said, Hanson noted that when all is said and done, all of our dreams in stopping this Bolshevik madness is invested in the House. We only have 1/3 of the government. We're not going to get any legislative victories here, right? So the only thing we have are the oversight committees and these investigations, the investigations into the Biden crime family, investigations into the political corruption in the FBI, investigations into what really happened on J6, investigations into the collusion between the deep state and big tech in violation of the First Amendment. And so we all want unity so that we have some chance of stopping this utter Bolshevik madness that's happening right before our very eyes. And McCarthy, For all of his pathetic pandering and wishy-washy centrism, all of that duly noted, he did manage to pick up 14 seats in 2020. And he did pick up another 9 seats in November. So for all of his obvious flaws, he did get the House, unlike that establishment freak Mitch McConnell. At least McCarthy delivered. He came through on getting us the House. And that does have to be acknowledged, even as we acknowledge all the ways he thwarted mega candidates along the way. He deliberately sabotaged Madison Cawthorn's primary. He deliberately sabotaged Joe Kent in Washington. He deliberately kept Liz Cheney on her leadership position long after she voted to impeach President Trump and revealed who she really is. And so, over the last 4 days, you know, the chickens came home to roost for McCarthy. This was a crisis of his own creation. But in the end, big picture, what these 4 days represent was a stern rebuke that McCarthy he absolutely cannot run the House like the Senate is currently being run by with Turtle Man. He can't be running around hugging and kissing the most odiously establishment factions of the GOP. And if McCarthy got that message, which the present votes from the 6 Never McCarthy Republicans seems to suggest they think he did, if McCarthy got that message, we should be okay. Remember, when we look across the aisle, again, this is the way Hanson put it. When we look across the aisle, we are seeing bona fide Jacobins, okay? We're seeing ideological Marxists who are thoroughly disciplined and who consistently vote in lockstep. They are utterly Stalin-esque. They are a very, very formidable opponent. And if, you know, as the old saying goes, if we don't hang together, we're going to end up hanging separately, right? As Ben Franklin famously said. In the end, McCarthy made several concessions, and those concessions suggest that he's ready to investigate the Democrats with major MAGA support. And while there are plenty of Republicans who are, you know, playing right along with the Democrats, the majority of the party still consists of solid patriots who are ready to play hardball and bring this town down. We have to remember 140 Republicans in the House as of today, 140, that's roughly 2/3 of the 222 Republican seats, explicitly and publicly deny the results of the 2020 election. 140. They include 15 newly arriving freshman members, one of whom, Wisconsin's Derek Van Orden, was actually a J6 protester and who flipped a Democrat seat. The Republican Party is the only party where the majority is made up of patriots ready to take on the establishment. In the end, at least when it comes to the swamp, there are only hope, right? There are Obi-Wans. You're our only hope. So let's hope that Kevin McCarthy got that message. And let's hope that the 118th Congress turns out to be one of the most consequential ever. As always, gang, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You'll definitely want to check out my latest video on a massive victory in the courts. The Supreme Court made firearm confiscation, red flag laws, unconstitutional. You're going to absolutely love it. It's going to change gun rights and Second Amendment issues across the country for the better. You absolutely love it. So make sure to click on that link. I'll see you over there. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless.